Welcome into the CHGO Bears podcast, another training camp edition presented by Ray Chevrolet. Shop the Freedom to Save sales event all month long by visiting Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com, serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive. What's up, Bears fans? Adam Hoge, Mark Carman, Greg Rags Jr. with you today. Nicholas Moriano was at practice. He has some family obligations to attend to and on this beautiful Saturday, so he's not part of the show, but you can still get all of his coverage on allchgo.com. He'll have a notebook up, and I believe his Moriano Minute is already up. If you go to Twitter or Instagram, you can find that at CHGO_Bears. Guys, today was eventful. It was entertaining. It was sloppy. I still had fun. I gotta say, I still had fun. So there's a lot of ways to describe today, and we got a lot to talk about here in this 1 hour show.
Yeah, it was great to have Greg out there with Crystal, with some very important VIPs, which I'm not sure if we're discussing or not. So I'll let that leave that up to Greg. But that was a long practice. There were some serious ups. There were some downs. Everybody saw it. Braggs is tweeting about going to Taco Bell because of the offense. So why don't we jump into our best and worst here? And Hoge, since Greggy's out there, I think, getting the tweet out or something, talking to fans, why don't you start with your best and your worst, Adam Hoge?
Well, my best is amongst a plenty of bad offensive moments that I'm sure we will be discussing. There was one throw today, though, that I think overrides all of the bad, because to me, it was the most impressive throw of training camp so far by Caleb Williams. And that was on a play where things kind of broke down. He's moving to his right, and he's kind of got to like throw it, I believe, over a linebacker. It's tough from our angles. I mean, we were close today, but we're at field level. We're not from up above. But I'm pretty sure he had to like kind of get it over the top of some kind of defender underneath and get it up high to Gerald Everett. And he threw this thing, first of all, with way more velocity than I expected. And it was, if we're going to use the word dot correctly, Greg, that was an actual dot in stride to Gerald Everett. It was like everybody, it wasn't just me, but everybody standing around me, we were like, oh my God, that was insane. Like, that was different. That was a different throw that I don't care if we're talking Justin Fields, Mitch Trubisky, honestly, even Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler had arm strength, but I don't think he's throwing that ball on the money on the run like that. Like, really, I don't know if I've seen it throw like that in practice for a Bears quarterback. That's how good it really was to me. And so, look, we can talk about all the bad things, but in the midst of all that, it's good to start the show with that, because that was not only the best of today's practice, I think it was the best of training camp so far. Now, the worst is for the second day in a row. I think it's 2 days in a row. It's definitely the second time it's happened. But Montez Sweat knocked the ball out of Caleb Williams' arm in a way that, like, you're actually hitting the quarterback. And he got kicked out of the drill for doing that. I mean, Matt Eberflus was like, you're out of here. Not out of practice, but out of that drill, and took him over to the side and said, you're going to be sick if anything happened to him. So, like, we get it. Montez Sweat's really good. He is causing problems for these tackles right now. Darnell Wright's got his hands full over there on the right side. But please do not touch the guy that just had that miraculous throw to Gerald Everett that I just talked about, because nobody else can do that right now remotely on this Bears roster. All due respect to your guy, Tyson Bagent, Carm. So best and worst right there, I think, on both ends of the spectrum, really, really good. And also, come on, man, let's not hit the quarterback, follow the rules, and it should never come to the head coach having to kick a veteran like that out of a period.
Excellent start, Hoge, and I want to underline some Flus things coming up here. But, Greg, go ahead. Give me your best and worst, my friend.
I mean, yeah, there's a bit of a theme for me. I mean, honestly, best could be the entire secondary, especially the DBs just had a great day today. First team, second team, third team. They were making every throw a contested one, really making life difficult on all three quarterbacks. But the guy that stood out to me is this dude, Reddy Stewart. And I'm like, I always love that moment in camp where a guy makes a play or starts to make a few plays, and it's enough for you to go, all right, who is this dude? And you start really looking into it. And you look at the roster sheet. Then if he piques your interest enough, you'll see where he's from. He's out of Troy. And this guy is a ball hawk, man. Like he has an aggressiveness to him. He got an interception. He had a pass breakup. And you can also just tell, at least from my instincts in terms of what I'm looking for at camp, and the way the sidelines responds to him. And typically when the whole sidelines is really going nuts for a guy, that's an inclination to me that he's turning heads in the locker room, in the practices that we don't see. So I was really impressed by Reddy Stewart and the entire secondary in general. That was my best. My worst, and I put it in Notion, and we all know that I'm a prisoner of the moment at training camp. But what I put in Notion was the entire offense in every facet. I'm going to order $30 of Taco Bell, and then I'm going to throw up, because today was just a very sloppy day from the offense across the board, and it's hard for me to pinpoint a worst. You had the offensive line can't block very well. The center had a fumbled snap with the second string. There was a couple snaps that Caleb had to corral in. Caleb, for his, he definitely can throw some darts, man. He's got a hell of a fastball, but there was accuracy issues. There were times where in one-on-ones to Keenan Allen, the ball placement wasn't exactly right. Roma Dunze jump ball that I felt was a touch underthrown. He's throwing into traffic, that a couple times throwing across his body into the middle of the football field where the ball's getting tipped up in the air 20 feet. And those are the kind of balls that get picked off all day long. You had penalties, false starts, a delay of game. The false starts, the defensive line, blinks and these guys are jumping. So obviously the defensive line's got them nervous. In the 2-minute drill, they did like this simulated, let's learn how to get up to the ball and down it. They're not doing that properly. It's like everything across the board, in my opinion, for the offense. It was, for lack of a better word, a crap show. I just, and for me, I've always said you go to practice and all we ever root for is the offense and the touchdowns, and the defense plays for this team too, as Charles Tillman once said to a Bourbonnais crowd. And so, I'm just excited to see the day that I go to practice and the offense completely dominated training camp, but I'll wait for another day.
Okay, we apologize. I think we're having a slight audio issue, not like yesterday's audio issue. So fingers crossed that slight audio issue will go away, and I hope you can hear what I'm saying. I'll give you my best and worst here. Look, Keenan Allen, this dude is impressing me nearly every practice, so I'm going to give him love today. Keenan Allen is open. Keenan Allen is crafty. Keenan Allen just looks like he knows what he's doing. I see him talking with Caleb on the sidelines. I really think the Bears went out and got a quarterback's best friend here, a vet who knows exactly what he's doing. And I'm not saying he's going to lead the Bears in receptions this year, but he's going to get a lot. That chemistry is starting to build. My worst on the day is the same stuff that we're talking about. The false starts are becoming bizarre. And when they went into 11 on 11 and the first two plays, false start. I don't know why this is happening. Flus was asked about it. He said yesterday was a cadence issue. Today was a defense issue. So now we got multiple issues. We've got multiple centers. We talked to Braxton Jones today. He's talking about being a leader. That's not really natural to him. When I asked Tevin Jenkins a week ago who was going to step up in that room, because last year was Lucas Patrick, he was like, well, Ryan Bates is the guy. And then Bates comes up to the microphone this week, and he's not a loud talking dude. He seems more chill. So I'm not sure if that's what the issue is. Whatever it is, and Braxton was very comfortable or confident that they'll get it together. But it's getting a little bit alarming. So that's my best and the worst. But can I just underline the Flus for a second here? Hoge, I want to shout you out because you were explaining to me from your Hoge coaching couch the attention to detail that you appreciate from the Flus. He was asked in his press conference today about starting 0-14 by Patrick Finley. or having 14 straight losses, excuse me, 14 straight losses over 2 years. And he was setting up the question, Greg, to like think about how far you've come and that you were once there and they were going to fire you and now we're here and all of that. But so he starts it with the 14 losses in a row. And Flus cuts him off. It's like that's a Debbie Downer question right there. And there's just a lot of ways in which he's handling the media, and then watching him handle practice and throwing Montez Sweat out for a play and explaining to him there's a lot of like Flus leadership here that is impressing me. Outside of the fact that he looks amazing with his hair.
Could you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but did he also in that 2-minute drill pull Tevin Jenkins off for a play after that false start, or did I not see that correctly?
I missed that if that happened. It wouldn't surprise me though with the way he's doing things. And this is why even as things were going bad, and it did get really bad at the beginning of the last season. I mean, it was rough in late September and early October, but it was still things that I was seeing in training camp last year too, that I'm just watching and respecting, regardless of what the results are, but respecting the way that they're holding players accountable. And it does take a few years to build this program, to build any program. And for players to accept what you're trying to do, and the ones that don't, replace them and get in guys that do. So this is a process, and I think we started to see things turn in the right direction. But when I see, like the other day, he didn't like how the defense ran out of the field in a drill. Get your ass back to the sideline, do it properly. Okay? And then today, same thing. They were practicing, and this is even at like walk-through speed, basically, or jog-through, setting up a field goal at the end of a game with a clock. So complete the pass over the middle, get down. Everybody's got to the line of scrimmage, clock the ball, set up the field goal. Okay, it's a thing we've seen a million times in football. He didn't like how they weren't urgent. There was not enough urgency doing it. So he immediately said, get back here. We're going to do it again the right way. And then they did it again the right way. Like it sounds like simple things, but I'm telling you, a lot of coaches talk up the details and they don't back it up. And things slip through the cracks because practices, we got to stay on time. We got to stay on task. We'll just move on to the next one. That one didn't work. Let's just move on to the next one. And I'm just seeing like a level of detail here that is being backed up with what we're actually seeing on the field. And then there's all the stuff we'll talk about later on in the show too, where he's breaking down the way of roots and grass. And we're talking extremely detailed stuff.
Steven, can we get that? Yeah. Okay, Steven, get that super chat back up there about Hoge and the grass, because I think it just needs to be said. Not the Quinn Anderson one, $5. Leave it to Hoge on a day where everything was going wrong to ask Flus a question about grass height on the training field. Laugh my effing ass off. You qualified it as it's a nerd question, so congratulations for knowing yourself.
Yeah, I mean, Pat can have the Debbie Downer questions. I get the nerdy questions. I had a couple today, but I'm gonna own it in the moment. I'm okay with it. I'm comfortable with it. And by the way, but shout out to Pat because he has a follow up to my grass question, and the details were exceptional. So I don't think it's A block material. We will circle back to that. I appreciate the super chat and noticing the questioning there. But what I do think deserves to be in that A block, because I promise we will circle back to the grass conversation a little bit later on. Flus apologizing for them doing team drills, teamwork, 11 on 11 on the far field today, and it's interesting because they've done this the last couple of years. Every time it's only like 1 or 2 practices every year, but it's like you got all these fans out here. You went through all this trouble to build these bleachers and all this stuff, and you're going to practice not in front of them. So to picture it for people who've never been there, there's bleachers on the far end, opposite side of House Hall, and there's 2 fields. And so like yesterday, they practiced on field 2 right in front of the fans. And then today, because they often switch fields for obvious reasons, they got to keep the maintenance of the grass up, they go to the other field. Well, that's closer to the building. And so you have a full football field in between you and where the team is actually practicing. You went through all this trouble to come to camp. I've wondered why that hasn't been rectified. I was surprised it was happening again today. And so for Flus to open up his press conference by apologizing to the fan, like it got brought to his attention, and he was like, "Yep, we got to fix that. We'll make sure it doesn't happen again." So on the other side of this break, I want to talk a little bit more about that and like why that might be the case. But I definitely do think that it was an interesting moment for Matt Eberflus, and I fans appreciated it. Not that it makes it any better because it did happen. All right. In the meantime, Family Farms, their culinary journey is woven with passion, dedication, and a commitment to crafting the finest bacon-wrapped chicken, a timeless delicacy that has tantalized taste buds since 1974. We want you to join them on this flavorful adventure where every bite tells a story of tradition, quality, and the enduring spirit of Family Farms. The tradition continues. Now you can find Family Farms bacon-wrapped chicken even easier. Look for us in the meat department at your local Woodman's, Mariano's, or Burkott's. Craving a taste of home without leaving yours? Check out baconwrappedchicken.com or click on the link for our Amazon store, which also includes a legendary Rocky Rococo's Italian sausage. And to find out when our amazing new Cajun Nation flavors will become available with an authentic Louisiana bite. Experience the flavor that's become a family favorite for generations. Visit your nearest Woodman's, Mariano's, Burkott's, or on Amazon. baconwrappedchicken.com.
And a shout out to our friends at Game Time Tickets, the killer last minute deals, all in prices. So you can just do it that way. You know exactly what you're paying. No fees popping up. You get the views from your seat. They have their lowest price guarantee. You find a better price on another app, they'll give you 110% of it. Game Time is doing everything for you to get yourself to the game at the best value. Last minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals, which is a beautiful thing. Hey, I'm willing to sit in this section. Give me the they don't tell you your exact seat, but you're getting a huge discount on those up to 18%. That is sweet. And yes, overall, save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, for concerts, for comedy, for theater. Flash deals are sweet too. A lot of great seats in those. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Use Game Time Tickets. Download the Game Time app. Create yourself an account. And by the way, use that code CHGO. $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Do create that account. Redeem code is CHGO. $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets. Lowest prices. Guaranteed. Trying to sound like Charles Barkley. All right. Let's talk offensive struggles here.
Hang on. I want to I teased right before the break.
Go ahead.
So, because I immediately, when I tweeted out that, did you just put that up, Greg?
I did. Well, I mean, because he went off. Yeah, you set up what we were going to do after the ad read. He didn't listen. So then I pulled up the Carm Stink super chat. Yes, it was justified.
That was fantastic.
Good job, Greg. Excellent work. I'm very proud of you. That's my
producing chops. I learned from the best.
Hey, listen, when I do stink, I stink, and I stink bad, and I stunk there. Go ahead, Hoge.
So when I tweeted out that Flus apologized about the field situation, I immediately got some responses. They were like, "This has been a thing the last few years. Why is it all of a sudden now being addressed?" And I just think it's important to point out, like, there's been a lot of changes behind the scenes. There are new people in positions of power and change, not just Kevin Warren, who was here last year, but has hired different people in different roles. And there's new people in charge now whose job it is to communicate to both Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus when stuff that's outside of what like Matt Eberflus, as the head coach of the Chicago Bears, is not concerned about the fans' view of where practice is. He's focused on what are we doing, what field. He's got a million things to worry about. That's somebody else's job in that building to be like, hey, coach, we do have all these fans out here, and can we tweak this? And if it doesn't happen before practice, it's someone's job to bring it up to him. And obviously it was brought up, and he agreed with it, and they're going to get it fixed. So that's it doesn't change what happened, obviously, but it is, to me, an encouraging sign that something like that may not seem like a big deal to people is starting to get addressed, because this has been a thing they've done in recent years, and it shouldn't happen when you have that many fans come out. So I don't think it will happen again from this point on.
And let me throw one more just to the Bears organization thing. Kevin Warren, it's like, I don't know, once every 2 weeks or so, he will come out, stand with the media, and then walk down the line and literally shake everybody's hand. He did it again today, and so I was down at the far end, and he asked in that end, I don't think I'm telling any state secrets here, he's like, is there anything you guys need? Is there anything you guys need? And Josh Rock was like, how about some lemonade? And he's like, you got it. I'm not kidding either. We're gonna get you strawberry, and and this. So apparently the media is like he's listening. He's asking questions. It could have been something as fun as lemonade, but like it's like they want feedback. That is not. I don't know, Hoge. You've been covering this team a little bit longer than I have, but in my time there, or in a more daily basis, in my times there, I don't remember Ted Phillips ever walking the line and shaking hands with everybody and saying, "What do you need?" I mean, it's a different animal going on over there right now.
Yeah, and to Hoge's point, just to talk about the fan aspect of it, at least the acknowledgement if there are mistakes that seem like they're being made, the family fest, not having it, instead of not addressing it. Eberflus didn't have to address that. That's a logistical issue with the team. It's not always a head coach decision, but Eberflus said something about, hey, we feel bad that we didn't have a family fest and scheduling issues got in the way. So he's at least acknowledging to the fans, hey, we understand your gripe, and we're going to make sure we get it right. If they're able to rectify the field issue, because I understand you got to switch fields. It was just like that in Bourbonnais. They play on different fields every day because the cleats tear up the field, so you got to switch to a different field and play on fresh grass each day so the players stay safe, and ultimately that's the most important thing. But I would agree. There's a lot of changes being made, and there's people within that front office and in the locker room and in the coaching staff that are taking the fans into consideration. The Bears winning a Super Bowl is the most important thing, but the thing that the engine that keeps sports turning will always be the fans in the stands.
All right, let's go back on the field and let's dive into the offense here. Hoge, I was standing with you with one play that was slow with Caleb, so maybe that's a good jumping off point to some of the things that were going on that they need to improve upon.
Yeah. I think there's a couple things going on here. I mean, one, getting back to the Cadence conversation and some of these struggles. First of all, I heard from Braxton Jones and kind of reading between the lines of his comments. He was putting a lot of it on the offensive line and not necessarily, the quarterback's not doing a good enough job with the cadences. He kept talking about focusing in on what the cadence actually is and listening. And this gets back to, let me explain a little bit about what Flus was talking about. So the way I interpret this is they put a lot of cadence stuff in the spring. We had this conversation. They were struggling in the spring with it. Remember, that was a talking point. They came back from the summer, and the first handful of practices were relatively clean. It seemed like something that was improved. Everyone was saying it was improved, and we were doing shows right here saying there's not a whole lot of pre-snap penalties. They had a day off, and my guess is when they came back, just like you do, and you install more. You keep installing more. You take it to the next level. Oh, this is going well. We're handling this well. Well, let's continue to weaponize our cadences. Let's add more to it. That's going to lead to issues in practice that you got to work out, the kinks with. So I think that's when Flus says yesterday the cadence was the problem. That's probably what he's talking about. Now today, you had Andrew Billings do something that we've previously heard about that he's good at, which is this right before the snap thing, he'll yell out, move. And like you sometimes see a shift or just a little bit of movement from the defensive line, which they're allowed to do. And it's your job as offensive lineman to ignore it. And that is extremely hard to do in a moment when you hear Braxton Jones talking today about how you want to fire off the ball, you want to have your great get off, you want to give yourself any edge you possibly can to get yourself in the best position to block the guy in front of you. And so that's what was going on today. And we saw it a lot with Andrew Billings, and it was messing the offensive line up. So I do believe Flus when he says it's two different things. I don't necessarily look at it as like compounding problems as much as just things they got to continue to work on and get figured out. Now, obviously, if we're still having this conversation a week from now or we're seeing it in the games, then that's something to worry about. But right now, I just think this is kind of normal training camp stuff. It just sort of sucks when you have a day this bad, where there's that much of it in one practice.
The Braxton Jones thing that I found interesting, they were trying to boil it down for him. Like, hey, what is it for you? And he's like, well, look, man, I'm trying to get off the ball. I'm trying to make a block. I'm trying to engage the defense, which if you want to go into some level of offensive line panic, you could think that they're jumping because the defense is that much better and they're trying to get the edge that they need to be able to block the guy in front of them. I don't think it's necessarily that, but I do think there is part of that. And when you're looking at what are the biggest concerns with this team, and Nate Davis missing practice today, so they're keeping Ryan Bates and Coleman Sheldon as a duo, and Flus acknowledged this today because hey, I don't know if these guys are going to stay healthy. I mean, the offensive line, it's got a ways to go to come together here, it's just when you look at why the false start thing is, part of it might just be because they're just not good enough yet. Which, not saying they won't get there, but they do have. I mean, Ryan Bates has not played a ton of center in the NFL. I'm not putting it all on him. But
right.
And Braxton Jones is coming back from an injury, so I'm not putting it all on him either. But there's just a lot of moving parts there of guys that need to settle in.
Well, and that's what I wanted to ask you, Hoge, in terms of like the center position and the rotating different players coming in and out because of injury. And then in terms of cadence, is it that Caleb is doing the correct cadence and the offensive line isn't on the same page of when to go? Or is he not doing the cadence correctly?
Well, my guess is it's a combination of both at times. One might be, and it wouldn't necessarily be him not doing the cadence correctly, but them not used to how he's doing it. Because the cadences can be one thing on paper, but until you hear the inflection of a quarterback's voice and the exact pacing of how they do it, you're not going to get on the same page. So if they introduce a new cadence and they go out there for the first time and do it, there's going to be some kinks to work out there. And then it's just a matter of chemistry and understanding, hey, when he hesitates like this, I know what the next word is and I can fire off the ball on it. It's not exactly the same thing, but people don't think about this. If you have multiple kickers on your team at kickoffs, this is not an issue anymore with them changing the rule. But when you're like old school kickoffs, like we still do in high school, and you're trying to time getting up to that line at the exact time the ball is being kicked because you get a running start. Well, one kicker's walk up to the ball is going to be different than the other kickers. So all of a sudden you're off sides by a yard because you expected the guy to be faster getting to the football when he's kicking it. It's a very similar thing. Like, it's just a matter of getting the reps and hearing it and working through it. And I think, so that's why, and I'm encouraged by how this was an issue in the spring that got rectified with more and more reps. So I think it's still something they can work through. And I hope it's something that they don't start to dumb down because they can't handle it. That's what you don't want. And from everything we've heard from Caleb Williams, he can handle this stuff. So I think it's going to be fine. And
ultimately, this is why, and I talked to Corey Wooten about this on After Dark last week, and I honestly almost cut the clip too because we were talking about how quickly they need to figure out who the center of this team is going to be, the starting center. And so that to me is part of this. You got to try your best to figure out who your five are and start getting that continuity and that chemistry down. And I understand they want to have a competition with these guys, but that can't travel too far into camp here. I'd like to see that decision made here within the next week to 10 days.
And one of the decisions that will be made in the next week to 10 days, and maybe they will make that, Braggs, they're going to decide on Tuesday if the starters, including the quarterback, is going to play on Thursday against the Texans. Coach Flus making that announcement today. So in case people missed that on the old Twitter world, I thought that was, we'll find out on Tuesday if Caleb is going to play on Thursday.
And that's the next time. That's the next time Flus talks to the media. So it'll be 2 days out from the game, and makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Well, and just lastly about because I'm digesting the whole offensive struggles, it would really suck if Caleb's running for his life this year, and after you've invested in Keenan and drafted Rome, added Gerald Everett, DeAndre Swift, all the additions, and you didn't really address center as far as a premium guy. You went out and got a dude that you've been coveting for a long time in Ryan Bates, who seems like a great guy to have in that room, but also might be just more of a versatile guy potentially than just a premium starting center. And then so if it ends up that Caleb's running for his life, that would, and I'm not saying it's going to be that way, but I think it's at least on the table that he's going to be having some challenges that way, and that would be unfortunate.
Yeah, but we saw one of the issues with that, putting Ryan Bates in there in Sharpie as your center. The second Nate Davis misses time, Ryan Bates is over there at guard, which is what happened in practice today. So that's part of the reason why we need Caleb Williams to get reps with both.
So does that mean, though, that Shelton should be the starting center, though?
No, it means the best player should be the center. You should put your best 5 out there, but it's okay to practice with different players as much as everybody's getting frustrated with it. Get the chemistry down, and Carm noticed something today, especially with those centers, that led to a question I asked Matt Eberflus that I want to talk about here too, because it is actually a super detailed thing that Flus has his details, Carm has his details.
That's
believe
right.
It or not.
Exactly
believe it
right.
or not, that is now we're going to give you some details here too on what's going on in London, because Braggs, correct me if I'm wrong here, but there's a July 31st deadline here to sign up to come to London with us. So this is your last few days here to sign up to come with us in True Fan Travel. And look, this thing is going to be so fun. We're going to have a great time. Bears are going to London. We're going to London. And it's October 9th through the 15th, the whole trip. You're going to, if you come with us, truefantravel.com, you're going to get 4-star hotel accommodations close to all the action. There's a big welcome event that we're going to have, a private boat cruise on the River Thames. I don't know if you guys saw the opening ceremonies last night, different river, but similar boats that we're going to be on there. And all-inclusive tailgate party close to the stadium before the game. You're getting a ticket to the game. Tickets hard to come by. That's included in all this. And transportation's taken care of. Airport transfers to and from the game. The stadium's not close to downtown London, so you got that. All these things that you would have to worry about if you go on your own, you're getting it if you just sign up with us, truefantravel.com. Breakfast is included, on-site trip coordinator, chaperones for Greg Braggs the entire time, and of course, meet and greets. You're going to be with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. So head to truefantravel.com to make your deposit, secure your spot. Again, we are reaching our deadline because they got to start putting all this whole thing together. So if you've been on the fence, get on it because the deadline is July 31st.
Yeah, Crystal, who was with us today at training camp, she's going to Arizona, and she goes to all of our events, all our live events, our tailgates. She's going to Arizona's trip with True Fan Travel that we're doing as well. But she's on the fence about the London thing, and if she doesn't go to London, then I'm never going to be her friend anymore. So, it's just that simple. You either come to all our events or you don't, Crystal. Make up your mind.
No, it was awesome to see Crystal out at camp today, sitting with you, Gregory. That was a great part of my Saturday. Also, a great part of any day is Ray CDJR. Make Ray Chrysler Deep Dodge. Make Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram your number one draft pick this summer to find the perfect new car for you. This July, you can shop a wider selection of vehicles at Ray CDJR, and you can score new, lower prices across their huge inventory during the Make This the Summer event. For a limited time, right now, lease the 2024 Jeep Compass Latitude Luxe for only $189 a month. Or you can shop 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. Let the amazing team at Ray CDJR help you understand and land the perfect vehicle at the perfect price, because the Ray's price promise, the numbers you're hearing now, the same prices you can expect when you shop in store or shop online. It's because Ray's price promise means no price changing, no add-ons, no hidden fees. So if you're in the market for a new vehicle, check out the team at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, because they're the only team that we recommend. Visit them today on Route 12 in Fox Lake. For more information, visit Ray CDJR in Fox Lake or raycdjr.com. Serving the community since
1963. All right, Carm, you teed me up on something earlier I didn't fully answer because I kind of went on a tangent with the offensive line, but there was another moment with Caleb Williams and I brought up the good, the great moment of practice today. But there was just another thing I just like to call a learning thing, and it was a very, it's something you're gonna see. You see it with veteran quarterbacks. It happens, but remember, Caleb Williams is going from getting hand signals, very simple hand signals, this is the play, and they just go out and do it, to having to huddle up, get these long play calls from the OC, regurgitate it out to your whole offense, get everybody lined up, and have all this happen in enough time to snap the ball without a delay of game. And today there was a moment where he was a little slow getting the play, and I don't know, we can't hear the heads. Maybe Shane Waldron was slow getting it to him. That happens, but he kind of stepped back out of the huddle. You could tell he either had to reset it back in his head or hear it again, which is possible, and then get it back in there. Then by the time they all got lined up, looking at the play clock, there's 2 seconds, and he still puts Khalil Herbert in motion from left to the right side. And at that point, your only move there, you got to bail on the motion. You can't force a motion. It's going to lead to a penalty and a delay of game. You got to snap the ball, and Khalil Herbert will figure it out from there to get to where he needs to go. So that was just one of those rookie moments today in practice where 2 seconds left on the play clock. You got to understand, if you struggle at all getting the ball out, or the play call out of your head, out of your mouth, you're probably low on time. So you got to have that in your head as you're getting up to the line of scrimmage. And I think just right there was another learning moment for Caleb Williams, and I'm sure it's another thing they'll continue to work out.
Yeah. Look, the dude was so impressive off the field today. Like when we're sort of hanging behind him. Hanging behind them on the sidelines, and he was talking with everybody, and so I think he learned to what you're teeing up here, Hoge, from like literally everything that's going on. It seems like he's digesting it. $99.90, $100 from Crystal for the super chat. Braggs, I think you really registered today, buddy. Hey guys, had a great day today at training camp. Braggs, I want to give you your flowers here. Thank you for the tickets, but especially for allowing me to hang with you. It's really the other way around, Crystal, just so you know.
It really is. Putting up with me limping around, it's a lot to deal with.
The people I met and just us talking, the entire experience. Now we have to hang out over some whiskey. That is never a bear down. That is never a problem for this crew. Crystal hanging out with whiskey is a great way to go. All right.
Oh, well, hang on, though. Look, good job by Braggs on that. I'm sure Crystal appreciates it, but a bad job by Braggs. Did not inform me of this. Didn't know until right now Crystal was there, although I am remembering it was now mentioned yet in yesterday's show. But in between that, was never brought to my attention. I would have come and said hello, but no one told me that. So I apologize. Crystal's in here dropping back-to-back.
That's all I keep hearing. That's all I keep hearing from the Hollywood elites, from their ivory tower, because Herb Howard was in the chat earlier going, oh, I'd have loved to see Crystal. Well, you got to come over to the people, to the little people. Carm came over to hang out with us.
Do we really want to out Carm on who he really went over there to talk to?
Of course.
It wasn't Crystal.
Yeah.
No. I was going to say hi to Crystal. I watched her Instagram walking through training camp. I was coming over to say hi at some point. Now, at that moment, I came over to see the Bajan family. That is true.
Yeah, so me and Crystal are sitting in the stands. And yes, Crystal, the Duchess of CHGO, the Duke is gone missing right now. So the Duchess is taken over the castle. But
I love it.
We're sitting there watching practice. All of a sudden, this guy comes up to me, ripped, like, in high intensity. He's like, Braggs, what's up? And I'm like, hey, hi, how you doing? What's your name? He's like, I'm Travis Bajan. I'm Tyson's dad. I'm like, oh, okay. And I made a joke. I go, hey, I'll make sure Carm stays far away from you. I'm sorry about it. He's like, dude, Carm's my guy. I love Carm. And me and Crystal looked at each other like, oh, no, here we go. I was like, do I even tell Carm this? Because then this whole show is going to be ridiculous today. And so I called him. I was like, hey, just so you know, Travis wants to meet you. And Carm comes running over, and we hit it off. Travis is a lot of fun. He's a ball of energy, to be quite honest with you. A complete ball of energy. And his friend Jim, they were both great. Maybe have some plans coming down the pike with those guys, so we'll see what we can do.
I'd like to apologize to the Bajan family and Mr. Bajan for everything I said about Tyson's practice yesterday. Please don't kill me.
Yes,
please don't kill me.
Any criticism that we put on Tyson is only to irritate Mark Carman. We love Tyson here, but he said he's a huge fan of the show, so that was pretty flattering. And it was fun to hang out with him for a minute.
Yeah, and Travis is gonna come and join us here in short order, and I'm assuming Tyson's coming with too, and we're gonna have one of the greatest shows in the history of this program that day. Yeah, all right. Let's and by the way, you think I'm optimistic about Tyson Bagent? His dad tops me, and just to drop. But I'm right there with you, Travis. Let's freaking go. All right. Let's talk. Hoge, you didn't want to talk grass before, but we could talk it now.
Okay.
The Bears we learned today, courtesy of you, buddy, that the Bears have 2 fields of grass because they're going to play on different fields throughout the year, and that's why they did this. No stone unturned here. Attention to detail. Flus is putting in different fields, so the Bears are going to feel, more comfortable on the road playing on different grasses. That's what he wanted to do, and that's what the Bears did. Hashtag the Flus. It's an upper-level move by Matt Eberflus.
So we knew, and I reported this back in the spring, that they were putting in the Tahoma 31 grass on Field 2 out there at House Hall to match what they have at Soldier Field. I actually thought that was what was already on Field 1. So I thought they were just matching it to that, but maybe that's on a different field, whatever. So I noticed, now we're starting training camp, I'm like, you can actually see it. If you're out there, you could see that there's a different
color.
Steven, can you do me a favor here? Can you take Carm off the screen? Because if he's going to roll his eyes after he teased me up for this, then he can go disappear. Okay?
Excellent.
Yeah, this is
Finally.
great. Yeah, and a thumbs up. How about that? Yeah. All right, so since Carmen asked me the question, and I did bring it up with Flus today, you can tell there's a difference in the fields. Now, I thought they were the same grass, so they were cut to different lengths, which is why I brought the question up. And regardless of how silly or nerdy the question was, we ended up getting a great answer. Back to hashtag Flus details, okay? You could put Carm back on there now, by the way. And he said that it's because you play on different surfaces. So they have the surfaces there now they can practice on. When they're playing at Soldier Field, they can match that grass. He says that's a great surface. We put that up against anybody. Can we just pause for a second and think about how far we've come on this? Flus fixed the grass at Soldier Field. They're now talking about it. Instead of being the worst surface in the league, they're now saying it's among the best. And by the way, that is actually true. Other teams are now trying to get that same grass in their stadiums across the league. He says that holds up tight. They engineer where the roots grow sideways into each other, so it's really firm and doesn't dig up. I love the details on that. Everybody wants that field. But we also play on other fields, other Bermuda grasses. We used to have 419 here, and now we use what Kansas City uses. A lot of teams use it. It's a good grass, too. So long story short, they have 2 different Bermuda grasses out there because half the games are on one and half of them are on the other, and they could practice on what they're going to play on, which is smart. As much as you guys want to make fun of this, that is NFL-level detail.
It's smart, but I just like Matt Eberflus, grass enthusiast, bees enthusiast, he's just all about, outside and the agriculture and the everything. Like, it's just something about him that's, there's a little hippie inside of him.
You laugh, but if this guy wins a Super Bowl, we're going to be talking about this as legendary stuff.
Okay,
if he wins us a Super Bowl, we're gonna have to supercut all the times I've tried to fire him last year and throw that together.
Let's not do that.
Carb, you look like you have a migraine.
No, it's wonderful. I think it's great that you were able to decipher the length of the grass as you walked around in your Hogeness and just and figured out that somehow, some way. Yeah, these are not the same. These grass don't add that up, and I'm going to ask Matt Eberflus about it, and we did get a great answer. So props to you, Hoger. That's over the top media. I would just underline this though on the Flus. It's attention to detail. Dude changed his whole look. Kaler's got a piece out on ESPN about it. He bought a freaking expensive blow dryer so he can get that dew that he's got going on here. He wants to be at his best, like all over the place. How can I be better with the media? How can I improve my look? How can I be, more presidential or whatever you want to call it, more authoritative? And he's getting more looking the part of an NFL head coach. A lot of things are going the way of Matt Eberflus right now. But he did say that he didn't see Caleb jumping into the scrum. Does anybody believe that? You asked him about it. That was so bizarre. You didn't see that? What are you talking about?
I honestly, I feel like I'm still confused by it, but because I kind of had to explain to him what happened, and then he said, he said that's leadership, jumping in there when he sees fit and doing that. But I honestly, at first I thought he was messing with me, and then I honestly don't think he knew what I was talking about, which just seems very surprising that I don't know.
I honestly don't know what you're talking. Are you talking about yesterday with DeMarcus Walker? Okay.
Yes.
I was gonna say I didn't think there was a scrum today.
Well, no, we didn't get. Yeah, so we didn't get to talk to Flus yesterday. So that was one of my questions that I really wanted to get to him today.
Do you think he understood you were talking about yesterday and not today?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
I did say, I did tee it up very clearly. I said yesterday we saw Caleb Williams.
I bet you that's right.
Because then he would have understood, regardless of what day it happened, he would have understood what the question was and answered it. I don't know.
To me that makes more sense than like he just didn't see that play. That's insane. But
he might not have been on that field in that moment, although it wasn't it? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I just was a little surprised that. So I take back everything I said about the details this whole show.
Well, let's go back on the positive Flus train. Nick Saban came and visited him. They had a 3-hour visit, and Flus was detailing that to us today. And I thought it was, he look, this has been one of my mentors. We've been friends since 1990, and it's a relationship that I've kept up. So that's 35 years of being friends with one of the best coaches in the history of college football. Sometimes a lot. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I was just saying, who else is really good friends with Nick Saban? Bill
Belichick. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So maybe
it's a 3-lot.
Belichick, Nick Saban, Matt Eberflus.
Well, it's interesting that you just said that, Brad.
Exactly.
Kyle Shanahan offered him a gig. He called up Belichick and said, "Do you want to be our defensive coordinator?" And he was politely declined. And when I read that, I was like, "No, why didn't the Flus do it? They're buddies." Hey, and he's gonna say no, but if you had heard that the Flus called up Bill and was like, "Hey, man, maybe he did." You
don't think that phone call was made? I bet you that phone call was made.
It's possible. Listen, the Bears obviously hired a defensive coordinator in Eric Washington. Did he ask Belichick first? I don't know.
I hope so.
I can remember once upon a time when we thought that Nick Saban was going to be the Bears head coach.
Yeah. Those were the days.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Saban thing, though. First of all, shout out to the white paint from the ABC7. Just outstanding, legendary photog who just jumps in at the end of the press conference with the question. And I don't think the rest of us knew Nick Saban was there. That was fantastic. And they got a great answer. Flus said he was here visiting me. I texted him right after he retired. I said, anytime you want to come up and visit, Coach, please do. And he did. He came up, spent 2.5 hours together. Basically, our conversations were on leadership of the football team and his process and his cadence and rhythm of working with a quarterback. I found this part really interesting. He mentioned working with Tua, with Jalen Hurts, and what was his experience during that time, during the camp phase of it, and also during the season. Flus said, I gleaned a lot of information, a lot of wisdom from him, and it was great to see him. Saban's been a mentor of mine for a long time. We were together back in 1990, back at Toledo, back in the day. They stayed in touch the entire time. He's a special man and a special leader. It was fun to visit with him. We talked a little bit about family, and of course, we ended up spending about 30 minutes talking about coverages. That's something we always do.
Well, and in the chat, there's knowledge on Tame saying Saban's going to be on Hard Knocks. That could be. That'd be an interesting little sneak peek. I mean, I don't think he's saying it with certainty. I think he's guessing it, and that'd be interesting if that made the cut.
I like the Flus maintaining relationships. Damn it, it's a good job. And sure, let's bouncing thoughts off one of the best that you can incorporate. There's a win. It's kind of how I feel when I get to bounce thoughts off Greg Braggs every single day, and you are my Nick Saban, Gregory.
Late night phone calls with you are some of my favorite phone calls I receive. Thank you very much.
Back at you, buddy. All right.
If only I liked you as much on our phone calls at night, the same way on our shows.
Right. Well, we're working on that. Do you, Hoge, you want to touch on Keenan Allen and Tyreek Stevenson and their little tipperoo?
Well, you brought up early on in your best of the day, Keenan Allen. And I just, I think we've seen on the field what he does. He, like you said, he's always open. His route running's great. Velus Jones talked about his route running today. But I saw a moment today where I think you also saw the accountability of a 13-year vet with a young player. And, yeah, I think some of it was in jest and chirping just from the sideline. But basically, Tyreek Stevenson was a step slow, I think covering Gerald Everett over the middle or something like that. And it was completed. And you could hear Keenan Allen on the sideline saying, Reek, you checked out. I saw it earlier. You checked out. You're already done today. Reek's done. So he's kind of getting under his skin a little bit. But I think more so I interpreted it as a veteran being like, yo, man, you got to finish this practice. Like, keep it going. The accountability, which is not just important from the coaches to the players, but from the players to the players, and keeping each other accountable. So I liked seeing that in the moment, and I think that Tyreek Stevenson took it well because he kind of had a funny quip back at him too. And then I think he turned it back up a little bit too and finished practice. So, and we heard from the head coach that focus and finishing today were the biggest things they had to work on. We probably should have said this off the top. Maybe we did. Today was easily the longest practice. It was about 25, 30 minutes longer than any other practice they've had. It was a little bit warmer today too, and they got the pads on. So it was their hardest training camp practice. It's one of the few real training camp practices we still get to watch and see because it's been dumbed down so much. So it was a grueling one, and I like seeing that accountability from Keenan Allen to Tyreek Stevenson.
Keenan's owning his spot, man. He's yelling at Tyreek. He's out there screaming at Flus or whoever, throw him out after the Montez Sweat thing.
Oh, yeah, he did. He did say that.
Yep.
And there was another moment. Sorry, Braggs, I'll let you jump in here too. I don't want to share exactly what to talk about because it was scheme related, and we're not really supposed to go into that stuff. But when Caleb Williams came over, they were having, and the Hard Knocks mics were on him too, so this might end up on Hard Knocks. We'll see. But he was like, he brought up a specific passing concept that he's like, we got to install this, and they were like, and Caleb was like, yep. So you could see that chemistry building of like what Caleb is good at throwing versus what Keenan wants to receive and run. And you love hearing players be like, yeah, we got to put this in. We got to run this. It's going to work. Because I'm telling you, when that stuff happens between your quarterback and your wide receiver, the coaches are going to listen. Shane Waldron will put that in there and make sure they're running it. And that's when you're, as a coach, you love hearing that stuff from your players and you trust them to do it. Go out there and do it then.
Yeah, like to me, it's going to be interesting too because if I was the executive producer, you mentioned the Hard Knocks cameras picking that up. If I was the executive producer for the Hard Knocks, these Hard Knocks episodes would probably be 3 hours every week. Everything's making the cut. But to your point about Keenan Allen, he's got a competitive edge. There's a great little video clip somebody shared during the offseason where he's going at it with a guy when he was on the Chargers, and they're talking, and on the sidelines or at the line of scrimmage, and then he's making plays on him downfield, and you really felt that fire and intensity because he's kind of a unique character, like in the terms of he has a very calm demeanor and presence about him, and then he's also on like, you know, the show The Voice, and he's singing and stuff. But then there is this competitive streak he has on him, and he's yelling at the crowd at one point when he made a big play today, as he was like kind of trailing towards the end zone after he caught it. And, you know, the DBs today especially are letting the offense know every time they make a play, all of them. And so Keenan's, you know, DJ's always going to be that quieter guy and show you with his play. But Keenan, you know, being the vet of that group, you know, I think he's going to kind of, you know, give it back to these DBs here a little bit. So I love that about him. He was signing autographs with a bunch of fans after practice, going all the way down the line. And, we were like, hey, we're going to make sure polls get you here for 3 or 4 more years. And he was like, I'd love that. He's like, I love it here. So, you know, I think that's, I think he's enjoying his time so far.
I'm really starting to enjoy Braggs in the stands reporting. Yesterday you had a little Gerald Everett snippet. Now we got a Keenan Allen, loving Chicago.
Speaking of that, I was talking to Jonathan Owens, and I asked him when he was leaving for Paris, and he said a couple more days. And I said, well, have fun out there. I was like, if you were to participate in any Olympic event and you think you could win the gold in it, what would it be? And he said table tennis. And I was like, really? I know a couple people that think they're really good at table tennis. He was like, I'd smoke them. No problem. I was like, all right. See if we can get him in the studios and take on the big dogs.
I mean, if he's a legit ping pong player, he would smoke me and Nick and Hoge. I'll throw you in there. But
thank you. That was nice of you, but you didn't have to do that.
Yeah, but if he's not, then bring it on, pal, because I got something for you. Whoa, Craig Leach, $100 super chat. We appreciate you, Craig. Stevenson is going to be great. I also expect a lot from Sanborn this year. If our O-line holds up, look out. Take the North, kill Green Bay, and that QB signing. Let's go.
Well, that's something we haven't talked about. You know, obviously these are post-practice, you know, breakdowns, but, you know, Jordan Love signing a big contract here last night, Adam.
Yeah, and Craig, thank you so much for that huge super chat. We greatly appreciate it. But, yeah, that was maybe we should donate that money to the Packers because they have to pay their quarterback a lot of money. I think it's a $75 million signing bonus that's due by the end of December or something like that. That's insane.
It's a $75 million signing bonus, which is a record. It's $155 million guaranteed, and it's 4 years for $220 overall.
So Jordan Love is the highest paid quarterback in the league. Let me say that again. Jordan Love is the highest paid quarterback in the league. That's
steep.
They had to do it though, because I don't know, Braggs, you probably won't even like follow Packer people on Twitter. I do, you know, and the reports coming out of Green Bay the first few days of practice were downright hilarious. I mean, it's like the defense is just dominating. I think Sean Clifford's the backup. They're like, here's another interception by Sean Clifford. Like, I think Tua signing had way more to do with that deal finally getting done, but they had been looking at those first few practices being like, okay, we got to pay Jordan Love whatever he wants because we got to get him back there on the field. It's a little scary that they think that much of him, but on the other hand, this is the benefit of the Bears situation. If Caleb hits, and he hits soon, they have this money. They have this window of opportunity here to pay other positions and pay other players. Whereas the Packers, they just put all the chips in at their quarterback. And now they have a lot of young wide receivers that if they hit, it'll offset and it'll be fine. But they're going to have some tough decisions to make down the road. And they better not be wrong about Jordan Love, who only has 1 year of starting experience. And this is a huge bet.
Yeah, it's definitely a bet and a risk. It's a small sample size, and it's a lot of money. Those are facts. But as you know, Knowledge Untamed says, love is good. And I agree with him at the end of the day. So, you know,
I agree too, Greg. Love is good.
Love is good. Love is good.
I like Love.
So no, I think he showed enough. It is a risk, but if I'm a Packer fan, I'm not upset about the deal. That's just the way it goes when you want to pay a quarterback in this league. I know last year we had talked about, Justin Fields taking a lesser deal. No, when a team is re-signing a quarterback to make him your guy for the next 4 years, this is what the market is. Tua got paid. Love's going to get paid. Hopefully one day Caleb Williams is getting paid in a Bears uniform. They're going to have to pay him a boatload of money too. That's just how it works. But yeah, you hope that that takes an effect on the rest of their roster. But at the end of the day, I hate saying it, but I do believe they've found their next quarterback, and, they make it look easy finding those guys up there. So good for them.
You know who's on the Jordan Love path, guys? Sit for 3 years, get minimal experience, then finally get his opportunity and burst on this. Yep.
We already did the Tyson Bagent segment.
Well, I'm just telling you. Bagent is in such a good position, learning behind Justin, now learning behind Caleb, multiple offensive coordinators. He's, getting to bide his time, a couple opportunities. It's only a matter of time. All right. And maybe won't.
And we also didn't mention, that Nick Moriano went out and did the Tyson Bagent challenge of the burpee broad jump this morning before practice.
Oh, did he send that video in? I don't know if he did. If not, we'll bring it to the.
Yeah, it's on his
Twitter.
timeline.
I could get that for you in the next 5 minutes.
Well,
Don't make me little brags.
But as we produce on the air here, did he do the sped up version?
He did, but it needs to be sped up more.
Oh, okay. Because we talked about
this. It
this.
wasn't not a short video. Yeah.
Yeah. He made it a quarter mile though, which I'm actually impressed with.
I mean, the Nick's in great shape. Shout out to Nick. Dude's doing good work. I mean, he's letting the softball team down.
Yeah, I showed Travis the video, and he was laughing at, because I think he got to 0.12 miles. Tyson had done a full mile of burpee broad jump all the way home, and so Nick got to 0.12 miles and then did a little video, and he looked like he was gonna die. And Travis found that very, very funny.
I got a bunch of things here in my notes, and Travis Bagent's in my notes too, but we don't need to talk about that anymore. But Hoge, do you want to talk weird centers, left hand, right hand?
Yeah, we should pay that off. So Carm brought this to my attention too, and I didn't even notice it before today. But yeah, Coleman, I was curious how much that matters. Let's see, what part of
everybody should be very, very.
Say this was your observation. Why, double down on your genius? Because this was a really good observation.
I mean,
why did you make Hoge? Hoge's already got the grass.
I had some other brilliant questions today that wow today. What you find your quote there, Hoger?
Yeah, I got it. So I asked Flus, does that matter? Because I honestly didn't know. I mean,
he gave a detailed answer here.
Yeah, he said, so under center, it's not a big deal, surprisingly. But then the spins are what's a little bit difficult, and one spins it. Now, I actually interpreted that as those are different snapping styles, not just being righty versus lefty. I think Bates is doing the knuckle snap where you kind of hold the ball on top and just kind of throw it back like a knuckleball, whereas Shelton is actually putting spin on it. So regardless, he said they have to get used to it with each guy, but we're prepping for the week, a game week. They're going to get used to that. It's pretty easy to get used to, but when it's series by series, you got to make sure, hey, I'm looking at this quarterback. Okay, he's the guy that spins it. This is the guy that knuckles it. So that's really the major difference. But it speaks to what we've been talking about, Carm, about why, yes, this is a competition, but why it's also important for Caleb to get work with both guys, because the snaps are not only different styles, but also coming from different hands and different spins. So it's very nerdy, detailed football, but we Saw this last year. Snap the damn ball. Get it to the quarterback. Can we get that down? And fortunately, the snaps have not been an issue, but you are getting two different kinds of snaps, and Caleb needs to learn it.
Yeah, I love that Flus went into detail here, and it's actually perfect timing because I think we are going to have to make an adjustment here with the audio being an issue right now again. I don't think that Braggs can ever do the show from your house again, Hope. I think he's got to come to me. I think we're going to have to he's going to have to come.
Well, for being honest,
right
I'm sabotaging this to force that. Not really.
Yeah. But I think considering everything, we probably could say goodbye for today, and there's a bunch of stuff that we could tee up on Monday here. Well,
do we have some more supers though? Nolan O'Brien here, $5. It's my birthday. I've never missed an episode. Which needs an addition more, the O or D line? Yannick or Connor Williams, both coming off of injury.
At this point, I'm feeling more the offensive line.
I think so too.
And you're on it here, Nolan. And happy birthday, brother. And thank you for never missing an episode. And you're freaking awesome. And I hope audio sounds good because you deserve it.
Logan Rideout, $10. Is the defense so good that they are putting too much pressure on the offense? They need some space in order to improve.
No. This ain't the 85 Bears. This ain't the Ravens in their prime. They're good, but let's not go crazy. The offense needs to get better. I don't think we can put it.
No, I agree. That's why it is paramount to, get reps against these other teams and find out what's what, because that's how training camp can fool you. You're playing Bears versus Bears. And there are times where, in the last 25 years, the offense is looking good at camp and you're like, okay, maybe. Well, no, it's because the defense sucks, and there's times that the defense is dominating. Well, it's because your quarterback and your offense sucks, it's hard to gauge those things at times depending on what you're looking at, unless you really understand what and even if you do understand, there's so much going on. So, like right now, the pass rush for the Bears looks great. They are scaring the crap out of the offensive line, so much so that they're false starting over and over and over. And then, while there's cadence issues with that, when Andrew Billings just shifts, on the line of scrimmage, they're jumping because Jervon Dexter standing over the center gets him a little jumpy, Montez Sweat on the edge, so the defensive line looks very good, but is it because the Bears offensive line is playing very poorly right now? Or, the whole iron sharpens iron mantra. So, like I said earlier, when I went on my little spiel on best and worst about how bad the offense has looked, I understand all the rationalizations. This is a new offense. It's a rookie quarterback. They're changing the centers out in a competition. There's different offensive linemen that are getting hurt or, getting moved around, and there's new pieces to the skill position spots. I understand all that. They're working through things. It's the first week. It's the laundry list of, rationalizations we make as fans. We did it last year as well when things didn't look right at camp. With Justin Fields not throwing deep, well, they're working on the underneath throws. That's what we do. But until the bullets start flying week one, that's when we're going to know for sure. And that's why I've always been a big proponent on getting as many reps as you possibly can in the preseason. So I wouldn't mind the offense out there for the first series of the Hall of Fame game. And I'm hoping that that's what they say on Tuesday. Is it the end all be all? No, but that's what I would do if I was coaching.
Alex Weddle, $199. I have zero faith in this offensive line. Sorry, not sorry. I think it's a little harsh, but I certainly understand the sentiment, and they do need to prove themselves. There's no question about that. And I believe we have this video of Nick ready to.
I'll tell you this. There's no way we're gonna be able to do this. So it's 7:31. Rec starts at 9:30, and that was, oh boy, 0.12 miles. Okay. Respect to you, Tyson Bagent. You're different, man. I'm gonna keep going though until I have to leave for camp.
Wait, so it was only 0.12 miles?
Correct.
When I got there, he said he went a quarter mile.
Well, because I think he did more to see how much he could do before he had to leave after that. So that could be. But at the end of the day, and I said it on Twitter, I was like, no. You started it, finish it, and don't come to camp until it's done. And I don't know if he followed that rule because I'm not happy with him. I thought we were all going to be there to harass him while he did this. Now he's doing it literally the next morning.
So Nick actually messaged me, or I messaged him after that, and he said he finished at 0.4 miles.
So almost a half a mile.
Almost. But not
I
half
think
a
that
mile.
Iowa education's kicking in here, and we're not understanding
What a quarter mile is?
fractions. Regardless, I don't have the same stance as Braggs. I'm impressed that Nick even did it as much as he did there. That looks hard.
I'm not impressed.
And I'd like to see you do one burpee.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed by Nick. Nick's my hero. That's a big time move. Burpees are hard. I can do one, maybe three.
All right, we got to wrap this up. I got a few more things. Travis Reno, $20. Can we put some damn respect by Bragg's name? Check the avatar. Braggs brought it up during 14-game losing streak. Who do you think Caleb got it from? Show the love, fellas. My only Bears podcast I love.
I'm
Travis, you're the man.
I'm kind of confused by this statement, though. I don't
understand what got brought up or what respect.
Is it respect on my name or respect on Travis's name?
Your name, buddy.
Yeah. Put some respect on my.
But what did he say? Braggs brought it up. I don't know. Appreciate the super chat.
Yeah, I do. And he's got the Bagman avatar.
Yeah, he does. Couple things here. O-line, D-line, one-on-ones. Do you guys want to hear about this stuff?
Absolutely, I do.
Tevin Jenkins absolutely tossed whoever number 78 is. No. Michael Dwumfor? Is that how you say it? I don't know how to say his last name. I apologize to Michael and his family, but Tevin Jenkins tossed him, and it was a great rep. One guy who keeps, I got to say, Bill Murray seemed like a fake guy who was on. I know I mentioned him yesterday, I think. He had an outstanding one-on-one period. And one of those, he pancaked Andrew Billings. And if you size up Bill Murray on the sideline, he doesn't look like a giant offensive lineman. But he's out there, he's having a good camp. And yesterday when Tevin Jenkins missed a few snaps, he was the one who went in there at left guard. Well, it's a name to keep an eye on there. Gervon Dexter got hot during that period. He was getting, I don't know what was going on. The Hard Knocks cameras were all over it, though. I hope that makes Hard Knocks because I didn't really understand what Gervon was getting mad about, but it was good to see him fired up.
Bo Chanson with a good one. Bill Murray, bear, not a bear. Yesterday, I definitely would have said not a bear, but now I'm there. He's a bear.
While you were on that side of the field watching the O-line, D-line drills, Carman and I were watching the wide receiver DB drills, and I think it should be noted that Velus Jones had a really good session during that period. A couple really nice catches in the end zone once, and then he had another one where, he made a move to the outside, cut back into the middle, all hands on the catch. So honestly, I thought Velus had a really good day of practice today. Even outside of the one-on-ones, he made some nice grabs. So it's just something to keep an eye on. Nothing earth-shattering, but you're seeing improvement for sure. And I don't know if you're planning on bringing it up, but the kickoff, they practiced the new kickoff thing today. And this is kind of your wheelhouse, but I thought there were a lot of things intriguing in that as well. And with Velus involved in that.
Yeah, let's save some of that for Monday's show. But because I do find it interesting. Velus did say, we talked to him today, and he was like, Yeah, I mean, he admitted it adds to my value on the team, and he's like, I think it's going to be a lot easier to return kicks. So,
I think you're getting to the 30, no problem.
I mean, seriously,
there's opportunity for windows to open, but you're getting to the 30 at the very least. So it'll be interesting to see the strategy there.
But meanwhile, so many flags today that even the jugs machine had 2 penalties on today. I mean, I've never seen that. The jugs machine got called for 2 penalties.
Why?
I mean, we can't be having that. It's unbelievable, disappointing because they weren't actually kicking the ball today. Like Cairo Santos would fake kickoff, and then they put it through the jugs machine up into the air, and twice it landed out of bounds. So come on, jugs machine guy, you got to keep that in bounds. We're wasting reps here. We only have a limited amount of reps. Don't screw it up. And they blew it. So, but in all seriousness, with that, I think it shows you we are gonna see kicks to the corners, and that's gonna lead to some misses sometimes that are gonna go out of bounds and better field position.
Well, I know you're gonna talk about it on Monday, but I would just like to add, to me, what I saw, and you can tell me if I'm wrong here, Hoge, but the kicks to the outsides of the hash seemed to have more opportunity for holes to open up. And the couple that they kicked to the middle, it felt like then that created a little more congestion on wherever they were trying to go. So I don't know. It was only one session, and they only kicked it, a handful of times. But just trying to get my first feel of watching it, it certainly was interesting.
That's interesting because I'm thinking deep to the corners would be the best place to go.
The one where Tyler Scott broke open, that was kicked to the far right hash. So, whatever. That to me is going to be one of the most intriguing things in the Hall of Fame game to watch.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, probably going to be the most intriguing thing because even if Flus comes out Tuesday and is like, oh yeah, they're going to get a series, it ain't going to be a real series. I mean, it's not going to be.
The Ian Wheeler game, he's going to be all over the place.
Ian Wheeler's been getting the football a ton. I don't think
Wheeler also limped off the practice field today, as did Travis Homer, by the way, which is actually a potentially significant one because special teams and Tyree Carter, all 3 of those guys, they might all be just banged. Oh, and Nate Davis, we haven't talked about really not being out. I mean, we did touch on it a little bit, but he made it a week.
Right, you were talking about you were into the one-on-one, so I was actually expecting you to bring that because that's where it happened, right?
I don't think he took a rep in one-on-ones. I think it happened before that.
Okay.
Because I didn't see him in one-on-ones. That's actually when I started to notice he wasn't there, and then he did show up, but he never went back into practice. So, and then Flus called him day-to-day after practice.
Nate's been doing great. He's been out there. Can't wait to see him back out there on Monday.
Well, I talked to Herb Howard last night in a Spaces on my drive home, and that was one of the things he mentioned. He was like, man, I really hope that Nate Davis was out there today to stack 2 padded practices back to back. He was, and then he gets hurt. So,
It's a great way to end the show on Nate Davis.
The other thing I forgot I'm frustrated that I didn't mention in the damn best of worst.
I paused too long. Damn it.
I'm sorry. No. Because the other thing that I'm mad that I didn't mention with the whole Reddy Stewart catching my eye, I mentioned that he got an interception, but I didn't point out the fact that it was off of Caleb Williams.
On back-to-back plays. That was the second play in a row.
Well,
Reddy,
right.
The first one was, I forget who picked it, and then he was number 2.
Right. So, the other guy was whatever. Dang it! It was Adrian Colbert, right?
Yes,
that's
correct.
It was Colbert, and then it was Reddy Stewart, and both times you're like looking at your roster sheet because you're typically used to seeing Brisker, Kyler Gordon, Tyreek Stevenson. And you're like, who are these guys that just picked off Caleb Williams and Reddy Stewart?
I had to look it up, and thank God I had a laminated roster sheet created by Adam Hoge. I got right to Reddy Stewart. It was amazing.
You're poking the bear, but you also mean it.
I do. It legit helped me. So thank you.
Well, good, because that's the point of it. You take care of my guys with lamination. All right. We're going to end this show. We're going to go enjoy an off day. Bears do not practice tomorrow. And we'll be back Monday because there's a practice Monday. It's not open to the public. Tuesdays is. And it's going to be a busy week. Practice. Game.
Big announcement coming on Monday. I won't be sleeping the rest of the weekend as we will have the U.S. Open Ball Boys president on to discuss my performance and whether or not I will get a shot at the U.S. Open this year. So stay tuned for that Monday late in the show. We're not going to lead off with them because we know it's training camp. It's very important to you. But my life is on the line, and I'm going to find out Monday.
The ball boy president.
Well, I know what I'm rooting for.
I don't know what that means.
You know what it means. All right. Follow us on Twitter at CHGO_Bears. A lot of content going up there. AllCHGO.com for all of our content there. Nick's got a piece going up. Diehards newsletter tomorrow morning. Got one this morning too, which apparently Matt Eberflus didn't read because if he had read it, then he would have known about Caleb Williams jumping in the scrum yesterday. So we're going to have to work on the details of the Bears Things newsletter and get that to the head coach, I think. allchgo.com/diehard. Today was a lot of fun, despite the results of practice not being the best the entire time. A lot of good details. Hope you enjoyed the show. We're off tomorrow. Back on Monday, 2 o'clock. We'll have another post-practice recap show. We'll talk to you then.
We all silly like the mayor.